So today we start chapter 3, and we're going to lump chapter 3 and chapter 4 together into one unit. We're going to introduce some measures of center in chapter 3, get you started with z-scores and things like that, and that'll be more the direction this course takes. Chapter 4 is a chapter primarily on counting arguments. We've already done some of that with permutations and combinations, right? But then there's a couple of sections on, on probability, and that gets to be a real struggle, okay? So this is one of the traditionally harder units when we put chapter 3 and 4 together. Not meaning to scare anybody, but it is. It's just a really, really, really tough unit. All right, I got a misleading statistic for you today. This is, we're talking about fatal crashes going by age, starting with teenagers, ending up with people that are over 75, teenagers over 75. And I just wanted to show you how you can use statistics and say almost anything you want. Number of drivers in fatal crashes. Fatal crashes. Look at you youngsters, teenagers, 20 to 24-year-olds, 25 to 29, the three biggest classes of drivers involved in fatal crashes. You young people, causing all the problems, right? Well, let's not be so sure. Check this out. This is the fatal crashes per 100 million miles driven. Per 100 million miles driven, depending on the miles you drive, okay? Sure, teenagers still are a member of a higher class, true. But look at this. Look what happens when you go by miles driven. It's us old guys that's even higher than the teenagers. And look at these. So the three classes here are even higher than the three classes of youngsters. And if you go by the miles driven, over here, we're not involved, us old guys are not involved in that many accidents. It's because we don't drive that much, all right? So it's much better to go by 100 million miles driven, the number of miles driven. It only makes sense that people are involved in more accidents if they drive more miles, okay? Great statistic. All right, so we're going to talk about measures of center, and we're going to start today with mean, median, and mode, something you've all done back in junior high school. We're going to look at it in a slightly different way, so be prepared. It's going to be interesting. Mean and median can be used only with quantitative data, numerical data, things that you can do arithmetic on, numbers, okay? Whereas the mode can be used with both quantitative and qualitative. Qualitative being like color of hair, favorite ice cream, that kind of thing, okay? Mean is simply the average. You add them up and divide by how many you have, right? Median is the observation in the middle and of the list when it's arranged numerically, okay? If the number of data is odd, then the median is exactly in the middle, and if it's even, then the median is the average of the two middle observations, and we'll run into these when we do some examples today. But mode is the one used most often. Median is simply in the middle, and mean is the average. You add them up and divide by how many you have. Okay, so let's get started. Find the median and mean. We have two groups of numbers, okay? Notice that the two groups are exactly identical except for the last one, okay? So in each group, there are 5 items of data. It's an odd number. So if you go in the first group, 200, 200, you can go up to and down to 300 is perfectly in the middle, okay? And the mean, if you want to add these up, 4 and 3 is 700, 950, 1350, divided by 5. The mean is 270 in the first group. Okay, so the mean is 270, and the median we said was 300, right? Okay, now what about the second group? 300 is still in the middle. Okay, so 300 is still the median, same one. All right, but this time when you add them up, 200 and 200 and 300 is 700, is still 950, and that's 1850 divided by 5. We get a mean of 370 for this one, okay? For this one is 370 as compared to 270, all right? What happens is if you put an extreme value in, like bigger value in the data, it moves the mean. The mean goes toward that bigger value, but the median stays the same. A fancy way of saying that is the mean is not resistant to the extreme value of 900 while the median is. Okay, the median's resistant, it doesn't move. The mean is not resistant, it fluctuates and moves. Okay, so the mean will move depending upon your values of data. Check out on page 93, figure 3.1, which is kind of interesting. I'm looking in the middle of page 93, the middle of the page, the middle diagram. Do you see the middle diagram there on page 93 is a perfect bell shape? Do you see how the median and the mean are exactly the same value? Now let's look at the one on the left. The picture on the left is skewed to the right. In other words, there are a lot of bigger values, not a lot, there's a few bigger values to the right, the bigger ones. And notice how the mean is pulled in the direction of those bigger ones, just like it happened here. Look at the blue picture to the right. Here it is skewed left, okay? It's skewed left with smaller values, and do you see how the mean is pulled to the left? It's attracted by those smaller values, okay? Everybody with me so far? Mode is the observation used most often, so I can say here in both of these examples that the mode is 200, all right? A student had test scores of 55, 78, 86, and 90. Which measure of center would be more advantageous to report to mom and dad? You want to make it sound better. All right, now let's look at this. This is an even number of data. They are in order. The median would be the one right in the middle of the 78 and 86. So to find the one in the middle of 78 and 86, I should be able to do that in my head. I think it's 82. 78 plus 86 and divide by 2 to find the one in the middle. Yeah. So the median in this problem, median is 82. Okay. What about the mean? Let's add them all up. So I've got 55 plus 78 plus 86 plus 90, and I get 309 divided by 4 is the mean is 77.25. So it would be more advantageous to report the median. Okay? Now, if you're saying, oh, is there a way that I know that which way I'm going to do it? Not exactly. Because if you have some abnormally high ones, you know that the mean is pulled toward those, and the mean would be a little abnormally high, okay? But it looks to me as though these are not abnormally high. This one is abnormally low, which would tell me that the mean is probably going to be pulled toward that one, and that's what happened in this particular problem, okay? So it would be more advantageous to say, hey, mom and dad, look, I got a median score of 82. Wow, doing okay, huh? And that is what happens in the news in an election year, politicians, they use mean and median depending upon what kind of message they want to send. To be honest with you, I'm not totally certain they understand the meaning of either one, but they do use the words mean and median interchangeably, okay, when they want to make a point. All right. So, by the way, when we're talking about some of the notation here, I just wanted to mention this. This is a capital Greek letter sigma. It simply means addition, okay? The author of your textbook does this. He will say summation of the x sub i's, okay? And what that means, summation simply means addition. He wants you to add up the x sub i's. He wants you to add up the data, okay? Like for instance, add up all the data and divide by n. Is that not the average, the mean, okay? Right? That's what he means. I do want to make a point here that he somewhat uses the notation incorrectly. He doesn't go to all the work as to write it correctly. Like for instance, if you wanted to write 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 correctly, you would have to do it this way. Summation I equals 1 to 4 of I. It's like for you computer programming people, it's like a for next loop. When you're going through, the first time through I is 1, plus the second time through I is 2, plus the third time through it's 3, and so on. That's technically the way you would write that. Your author would probably skip all of this and just say sum up the x's or sum up the i's. How about 3 plus 5 plus 7, 9, and 11? How could you do that? You could do I equals 1. We have 5 numbers, 1 to 5, okay? Now notice there's a difference of 2 between each number, okay? A difference of 2. So I have a feeling it's going to be 2 times I to get that difference of 2. The first time through, if I is 1, 2 times 1 is only 2. So we want to get 3. How about we put plus 1? Now let's try. The first time through, 2 times 1, 2 plus 1 is 3, checks. Second time through, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1, 5. See, it checks. Going the whole way to the last one, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, okay? That's technically the correct way to write this, okay? The last one, 5 plus 5 plus 5, you could do it this way. Summation I equals 1 to 3. That'll take you through 3 revolutions. And you're just adding 5, okay? It'd be simply 5 the first time, 5 the second time, 5 because there's no I in it, all right? I did want to show you that. All right, mean of a population. Mean of a population is the average of all data for the entire population, and that is more or less impossible to do. For the entire population, right? Very hard to do. The mean of a sample is labeled X bar, X with a bar over top, and can be obtained. So when you're doing samples, as we will be in statistics, you can find the mean of the sample, and it's our hope that we can then, if we've done representative random sampling, we can cast that mean on the whole population and say we are relatively confident that our mean of our sample could be used as an approximation for the mean of the population. That is where we are headed. X bar has a bar on top of the X. Okay, now let's get started with this whole concept of mean and median and see what it can do here. You live in a town of 1,000 residents who are all earning roughly $80,000 per year. To keep it simple, let's say the median and the mean are roughly 80,000. There might be a few people over 80,000, a few people less than 80,000, but let's just say it's relatively bell-shaped. Mean and median, roughly $80,000. Your town's a great place to live and reminds Warren Buffett of his childhood. He decides to move in. He earned $1 billion this year. The median income now for the town, you now have 1,001 residents, right? With Warren added. The median, you'd come up 500, you come down 500, right? What's going to be in the middle? Isn't the median income still going to be $80,000, right? So the median is still $80,000. But what about the mean? What about the mean? You've got 1,000 people who earn 80,000. So let's add up 1,000 80,000. So what's the easy way to add up 1,000 80,000s? We're going to take 1,000 times 80,000. Got it? And now we have to add on Warren's income, which is 1 billion, which is a 1 and 9 zeros. Okay? Add that up and divide by 1,001, right? And look what we get. The mean income is now $1,078,921. Okay? With Warren Buffett's $1 billion, remember how we said that a mean is not resistant to extreme values? Okay? What is happening is the mean has moved toward that extreme value, and it makes it look like the average income of the town, everybody's a millionaire, right? And you got to understand this with statistics so you can look at statistics that are given in the media and understand what is going on here, okay? Money Magazine runs an article about the town of millionaires, but the mean and the median can portray totally different scenarios, okay? Let's take a look at a different example. Okay, we have a town of 5 families with weekly incomes, there they are, okay? And 6 families with weekly incomes of those, okay? Let's calculate the mean and median of each group. We have a lower income group, okay? So I'm going to use L for lower and H for higher, okay? So we want to do the mean and the median for each. Mean and the median for each. Okay, now the mean, I've got to add these up and divide by 5. So it would be 500, 850, 1,100, 1,325. So 1,325 divided by 5 is 8. Try that again. Let's do that again. 500, 850, 1,100, 1,325. 1,325 divided by 5 is, so the mean is 265. Okay, how about the median? If you put these in order, it's going to be 200, 225, 250, 300, 350. The one that's in the middle, 200, 250 is dead in the middle, correct? 250 is dead in the middle, so the median is 250. Now go down to the next group. 6, let's add those up. 1,450 plus 900 is 2,350 is 3,150. I'm starting to lose it. I better be careful. 1,450 plus 1,700 plus 1,675 equals, divided by 6 equals, I get 804.17. Let's double check that. 1,450 plus 1,700 plus 1,675 equals, divided by 6. Yep, 804.17. Now, how about the median of the higher income group? If you put them in order, you're going to have 700, 750, and then 800. And then you're going to have 825, 850, and 900. So I'm right in the middle between 800 and 825, which should be 812.50. Okay? So there are two groups, mean and medians for both. Everybody see that? Yeah, pretty decently. Okay, calculate the mean of the town. Now the mean of the town, I would have to add those up and divide by 11. So let's see. So 4825 was the sum of this one, and I think the first one was 1350, 850, 1100, 1325. So plus 1325 equals, and divided by 11 equals, I get the mean of the town. So here we are, the town. Mean is 559, roughly. Okay? How about the median of the town? The median of the town, if you go, there's a total of 11. So if you go up 5 and come down 5, the one in the middle is going to be the first one in this second group. Are you with me? Right? So the median of the town has got to be 700. Okay. Supposing an $80 per week tax is being proposed. Find the percentage tax that would be imposed using the mean or median of the town. Okay? So what percentage of the mean income, remember doing this with percent problems, what percentage of the mean, 559, is 80, and then what percentage of the 700? So 80 divided by 559, try that again, 80 divided by 559 is, if you use the 559, it's 14%. If you use the 700, it is 11%. Okay? You could make a statement. The mayor wants the tax. He needs that tax money for his budget. He would say, oh, he said, that's not horrible. It's only 11% of the median income. And he's telling the truth. The mayor of the town, now, are you with me on this? He would say the tax, the $80 tax is not such a big deal. It's only 11% of the median income. Whereas the tax hater group, the group in town that doesn't want to do anything at all, have anything at all to do with taxes, would say, what are you talking about? It's a 14% tax on the mean income. And they are telling the truth. But they're using different terms, mean and median. Now calculate the percentage using the mean of the two groups. If you go back now and use the mean of the two groups, take the $80 and divide by 265. This is a 30% tax. Take the $80 and divide by 804.17. And it's a 10% tax. All right? You see how politicians, media, people can get statistics to say a lot of things? The mayor could have said, the $80 tax is not a big deal. For most of the people in the town, the upper group has more people. For most of the people in the town, it's only a 10% tax, right? It is. It's only a 10% tax on the mean. Whereas the tax hater group could say something like, are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? The $80 could work out to be a 30% tax on the mean of lower income folks. 30%, 10%. Who's telling the truth? They both are. They're both telling the truth, but they're using different terms. Okay? Oh, is this great stuff or what? Oh, my word. Oh, yes, one of those days when I should have charged admission to class. Okay, So here's all kinds of things that I've been talking about. They use the word average. Do they really understand what average means? Average, only the richest 2% will see their taxes increase. Average, 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 average. Do they really understand what the mean is, that you add them up and divide by how many? All right, I want to talk a little bit about some scary statistics, okay? Especially in the year 2020, when we are talking about horrible, horrible budget overloads because of COVID-19 and all the money that is spent on incentives, spending incentives, and on hospitals and first responders and everybody dealing with, and what that does to the federal budget. This is a budget clock. You can see it, I think it's on Times Square in New York City, but the guy's got some really interesting things to say.
This is the U.S. debt clock. And this probably needs to be looked at probably once a month by most people, just to remember where things are. The debt clock is continuing to run. Nothing we do stops this debt clock from running, right? No words that are said by anybody, no plans that are made by anybody. Nothing is stopping this thing from continuing to run and run. And it just continues to run. So the national debt now nearly $20 trillion. You see here on the screen that we are facing tremendous problems economically. We have dug a massive hole. And ignoring this and acting like it's not there will one day be very painful. It's like that ache you have somewhere in your body, right? That you know you should go tell the doctor about. It's bothering you and you need to go have a doctor visit, but you keep ignoring it and you keep ignoring it. You say, well, it's nothing, it'll go away. And it keeps getting worse. You say, well, it'll go away. It's not going to go away. This problem that we have is not going to go away. The lack of savings we have as a people is not going to go away. Eventually, this thing hits a brick wall. And remembering that all of this is not changing, no matter what they say on the television, no matter what plan comes out, this stuff is not changing. So the overall trends that are in place are not changing.
Really, really scary. I'm an old guy, okay? I will probably not be on this planet any longer when the day of reckoning comes and we have spent money like crazy in the United States, have not balanced budgets, we're spending money we don't have, and it is really, really scary. I actually got the budget for Trump for 2020. It's a $4.75 trillion, and that does not include everything that was done because of COVID-19, okay? And they're raising $3.65 trillion in tax revenue. So we're talking about $1 trillion, more than $1 trillion, much, much more when you consider COVID-19 than what we brought in. If you want to balance the budget in 2020, okay, balance just in 2020, each additional man, woman, child, teenager, baby, each additional person would have to pay an additional $3,000 and some dollars just to balance the budget in 2020. In addition to all their other taxes. This is the mean amount of taxes that would need to be paid just to balance the budget in 2020. Unbelievably scary. Look where some of the money the federal budget goes to, okay? You have pensions, Social Security, healthcare, education, defense, welfare, protection, transportation, general government spending. The one, if you look at this whole budget, one of the scariest things on this whole budget, I know some people were saying, well, why are you spending so much on defense? Let's cut that back. I understand all that. I'm not going to argue about that. One of the scariest things is this one right here. This is the interest we're paying on the national debt. That's just the interest we're paying on our debt. This piece of the pie keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because we keep spending money we don't have. And we have to get loans to cover that. Okay? I think the last time the federal budget was balanced was a year in the 90s when Bill Clinton was president. There was a balanced budget in 1 year, that 1 year. Really scary stuff for you young guys. The other thing is, if you think about Social Security, okay, I'm an old guy. I'm going to soon be getting Social Security. I'll get a check every month, okay, probably roughly $2,900 a month, okay? Here's what's interesting. In 1940, when the Social Security Administration was in its infancy, as it was initiated by FDR and during the years following the Depression, okay? The mean number of workers for someone who benefited from Social Security, there were 42 people working for every person who got a retirement check, or a Social Security check, I should say. In 1950, the mean number of workers for every person who benefited from Social Security was 16 workers. In 2018, the mean number of workers per someone who benefited from Social Security was 2.8 workers. There's only 2.8 people working for each person that's collecting a check. You with me? Now, what this sounds like, let's be very clear about this. What it sounds like is that there's fewer people working, but that's not true. There's actually more people working today than there were back in 1940, okay? What is the scary thing is that the number of people that are taking checks from Social Security has exploded, okay? And I'm not talking about there's a bunch of old people. You've got people getting a Social Security check for all kinds of reasons. I used to teach at a high school. We had an obese kid. An obese kid's family got Social Security check because the kid was obese, okay? I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why you can get a Social Security check, and that is scary. Will there be Social Security for you guys in 2063? I don't know. Okay, here's your homework. Now, a lot of extra problems here, okay? This is one of these town problems that we talked about. All right, we went through this before a few minutes ago. We went through this. So go through those step by step by step. Okay? And there's a couple of books, problems in the textbook. But here is the big thing, the most important thing. The book problems are by and large pretty easy. But this is the big one and the important one. So take your time and get in touch with me if you have any questions on that.